MSNBC Chucky boy Todd thinks Gavin Newsom is trying Bill Clinton's playbook. Bill Clinton, shout out to Case Study QB. I don't know how you sit through it, buddy, but dude, you're a better man than me.
I wonder if somebody's going to try a Bill Clinton playbook. I think Gavin Newsom is kind of trying it right now, right? Which is try really hard to almost pick a fight to show you're not a conventional progressive Democrat, at least on cultural issues. I don't know if that's going to be effective this time, but I do expect to see a few candidates try it, or a few Democrats try it. Take Obamacare. That was not the way he wanted to pass healthcare, not even structurally necessarily. But he decided, no, I want to do it. So what's the best way to politically get it done? Right. And that's all I think voters are looking for. Are you a pragmatist enough to get to your goals? We don't care how you do it, as long as you achieve a goal. Myself and Jake and a few others, were upset when you guys didn't allow Fox into the pool for a Ken Feinberg interview. I don't know if you remember that. Remember that incident?
Oh, I do remember it quite well, Chuck.
Yeah,
I do.
And right. But the point is, this is where it's like, I just like, we were genuine in why we were fighting. It was like the shoe's going to be on the other foot, right? It's inevitable. And so the lack of anybody coming to AP's defense has just been heartbreaking to me.
And are you surprised by that? It's not surprising to me. I thought they would come to their defense, but
now let's be clear. Especially earlier on, because we're going to be talking about the Associated Press now. No one's going to bat for them. Well, first of all, look, all these media outlets, not only they connected, they're rivals. So when they fall, it's a chance for the other one to consume the other. That's what we've seen. I also want to point out the fact that number one, taking the Bill Clinton playbook. The pragmatic playbook. Yeah, that worked for Hillary Clinton, right? Oh, no, her campaign ended. And Joe Biden, the only reason why Joe Biden was able to successfully win is because of the pressure of the vote blue no matter who people and the actions of Bernie Sanders and the quote-unquote progressives and the vote blue no matter who industrial complex to allow him to win, okay? That's what happened. Pressure, fear, bullying. Will it work again this time around? No, because it's failed. They'll try, and you have Bernie Sanders with AOC and the Fight the Oligarchy tour. All right, you'll build up your audience, but it won't hold. Because as soon as you tell them to vote for a centrist, you're going to have a good portion of people remembering, wait, we were told this before.
But that
there's been no attempt at collective action.
None. And I think the fear, of course, was that the collective action wouldn't matter. And that's, I think, the difficulty here, right? It's like, I'm haunted by what the managing partner for Paul Weiss said when he said, look, we looked for allies and instead they were poaching our clients, right? Look at what certain news organizations are doing. They're virtue signaling on saying, well, all right, we'll call it. We'll call the golf whatever name you want us to call it. And you're just like, on one hand, I understand that it's your mission, that you're trying to be above this and that you're not trying to get caught into this. But, ultimately, the First Amendment's the First Amendment. And how they kicked AP out of the pool was the issue. Look, they can decide, they could do what they want, but the rationale was clearly unconstitutional. If you can't stand up for that basic principle, then get out of journalism, right? Like that is, what hill do you die on? That hill. Die on that hill. Because if you die on that hill, then it's done anyway, right? Like, what's the point?
60 Minutes, the number one news brand in all of the industry for 50 years, is going to, by the end of this period, probably help fund Donald Trump's library so that the owners of the Paramount Corporation can get billions of dollars. Like, that is what's going to happen.
But the point is...
Yes, I know. Isn't that fascinating? Giving out money. It's all about dollars with these corporations.
And I want you to finish your thought because I'm curious about it on that. But you already have alienated the right. Doing this isn't going to help you with the right. And all you're going to do is alienate the people that still trusted you.
Yeah.
And now nobody's going to trust anything out of those major traditional media outlets. It's a huge, and can I just tell you, individual members of those traditional outlets are seething over this and are demoralized and depressed. And it's across the board, Dan. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And it is, but so this is, and I don't think the corporate parents care, because as the media economics have changed, the amount of money that these media outlets are bringing in for the parent company has gone down. Right. And they know it is going down.
You know, I'm bitter about this because during COVID, we were the only revenue they had. And they took our revenue. We all took pay cuts.
Oh, now you're complaining about it. Oh, now, hey, you want to know who really got gut checked because of the 2020 pandemic and the censorship rules? Independent media. That's who got screwed over. Us. Oh, my God. Oh, you jagoff son of a... I'm not mad. 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 By the way, yes, I have noticed the Bush Cheney sticker in the background. Yes, I know. And I noticed the Gore Lieberman, Kennedy Johnson, Clinton for president, Dole for president, Hillary for president. Hey, where's the Bernie Sanders for president? Not seeing it there. Oh my God. And how corporate media was trying to smear and destroy. Because corporate media, especially in 2020, played a big role in coming after us. I remember those days. I remember those days like it's nothing, man. I remember. He's talking about, oh yeah, we took pay cuts. Yeah, you want to know who else came after us? Was not only cutting us, but stabbing us and bleeding us dry. Oh yeah, you better believe it. Corporate media and many advocates for censorship.
They took our revenue and applied it elsewhere. And then when elsewhere it's time for media the news divisions have to put on a raincoat. But where's the pay it forward? We were there when you had no revenue during COVID, brother.
Yeah.
No sports, nothing. We were the revenue, and it did. The news divisions generated all this sort of, it kept them afloat in certain instances. So some of us individually are very bitter about their behavior because it's like they have a total memory loss. That this is the whole reason why you are conglomerate. Some things are down, but you're going to have some things that are up. And then when some things go down, you have other things that are up. I thought that's why you wanted to be a national corporation. It was obvious that it wasn't up for a second term. He himself promised, I can't tell you how many people who I've talked to that were on stage with him when he said transitional president and what they all heard and what they all believed they heard that were standing on that stage with him. They all heard one term. And so I think it's the people in the West Wing. Look, I had a cabinet secretary, and I said this after the debacle of the debate because I felt like I could share it, but it was an off the record. I had a cabinet secretary who asked me at the end of 22, he can't run again, right? And this cabinet secretary, it said, I said, do you ever get any FaceTime with him? He says, nope. And it was, and those stories were reported about how cabinet secretaries don't get FaceTime with the president, right? They limited the interactions because they wanted to limit the conversations, right? Nobody had it hard that he wasn't available, right? It was always just whispers or, he's not, it was what he wasn't doing.
You're dumb, stupid, or dumb. If it's been like that's continuous, so you're the president of the United States, you have to speak to them. Like, what do you mean he's not available? Like, eventually, after a while, it's like, oh, maybe his brain's not working. Let's rewind that again.
The secretary who asked me at the end of 22, he can't run again, right? And this cabinet secretary, it said, I said, do you ever get any FaceTime with him? He says, nope. And it was, and those stories were reported about how cabinet secretaries don't get FaceTime with the president, right? They limited the interactions because they wanted to limit the conversations, right? Nobody had it hard that he wasn't available, right? It was always just whispers or, he's not, it was what he wasn't doing that turned out to be the evidence, right? He wasn't able to do this, or he wasn't able to do that, or he wasn't able, the Super Bowl interview, which again, this is why I'm like, it's not as if it was hidden. This is why I take this idea that it's this black and white, that the media was part of the cover up versus never. Please, all the conversation around this, wow, you don't even want to do a Super Bowl interview? Is it that difficult? Are you that concerned, right? Like, it was all out there in the ether. That's why the fault belongs to the Democratic Party. It's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. It's Nancy Pelosi. It's Chuck Schumer. It's Ron Klain. It's Jeff Zients. It's everybody that was around him. And I do think that I think it's a weaker defense. Rahm Emanuel coming out and saying, well, I told people. I don't think that's going to come across very well.
No, it's not. And Biden saying one of these clowns are trying to podcast now is beyond cringe. No, they all are. Hey, welcome to the party. Welcome to be part of the independent media sphere, my friends. But seeing all these jagoff politicians, seeing all these jagoffs, it's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me now that they're saying, oh, yeah, that was happening. This was happening. But yet a few years ago, we are authoritative. We are speaking truth. We are speaking fact. How dare you speak out against us? And now here we are dealing with the censorship, of course, because of something that corporate media and the pundits at the time were advocating for. Here we are now dealing with all the stupidity of their actions. Way to go, Democrats. Way to go, corporate media. And trying to think that the Democrats are going to be using the same old playbook. Prepare yourselves for more cringe podcasts of all these Democrat pundits speaking out. There was a point, just to remind all of you, where they mocked independent media and YouTube and social media. And now here they are. Now here they are in our backyard. When 2028 comes around, all these same podcasters are going to be telling people to vote Democrat. And yes, if AOC does make her run, they'll be talking about that too. But as soon as the primary plays out, just like how it's done in 2016, 2020, and 2024, they're going to tell everybody to vote with the Democratic establishment. That's what they're going to do. Seen this story before. Can we play a new song